Hey, how you doing? A little bit of a variety pack here for you today, and thought I'd start off with a little bit of fun photo, and then video and some other images here that I dug out of the archives here. So let's do this. This image here is 240 millimeter as far as the focal length goes, so it's pretty far out there, and it's for 30 seconds exposure time. So probably the camera was bumped at the time I took the photograph, so can't argue about that. But check out this image here when you look at it up close. Now, bear with me here for a minute. Like I said, this is for 30 seconds exposure time. But look right here. Who's that there? Is that Waldo? Anyway, I don't know what that object was. Could have been Venus, Saturn, or a weather balloon for all I know. But at any rate, it sure did make for an interesting photograph, right? Moving along, here we have a infrared video. Now I know we're all attracted to shiny objects, right? So this is not the object, even though it's the brightest one. This is the object of interest right here. Now, as a disclaimer here for myself, toward the end of this video right here, I got to give myself an excuse here because this thing was on a tripod and it started going right over the top of me. So at the end of the video here, I had to move the tripod and the camera and everything at the same time, and I was getting like a real twisted neck ache, kind of a position weather balloon going by. I was getting a real, awkward position happening there, so it was a little difficult to film here toward the end. I think these guys got a sense of humor. They know what was going on. Another weather balloon, probably. Now, I think what this thing might be, this object right here, I'm not sure. When they do what this one does in this video here, I get really, I start waffling back and forth as to whether or not these are mechanical objects or if they're some kind of life form with some sort of an intelligence to them. Or they could be part of that DARPA program called Mind's Eye. You might want to look that up sometime. But anyway, at first this looks like a satellite possibly. There's no strobes on it, so you know it's not an aircraft, right? Now watch what this thing does. Off to the right hand corner up there is the spouting. I'm standing out on the porch. Camera's on a tripod. And the spouting or the gutter along the roof you can start seeing come into play here. Now look at this thing starting to brighten up. Now I don't know if it's just being attracted to the infrared beam that's being projected out of that camera, and it's lighting it up, or it's lighting itself up. But either way, you can see it's starting to change a little bit as it's going across here. So it's not a satellite. Satellites don't, grow in intensity. And not only that, but this thing gets up over the top and it kind of parks itself right there just to give me a stiff neck, I think. But did you see that? The whole thing was glowing, and then just the inside starts glowing. See how it's shrinking down there a little bit? So, what the reason for that is, I don't know. Maybe the beams being interrupted by the spouting there and not lighting it up as intensely, but there's definitely a change there, as you can see. And here's where I'm just about to tip over, and you can see it kind of backing up, basically. So that's not a satellite. They just seem to do that to humor themselves at times. I've got another video I've got to show you where one goes over the top and just starts driving around in midair right there. Now this one here is a photograph that I took back in December of 2017. Now, this right here is obvious lens flare, okay? But this up here is not. You can see them moving out of position during the photograph, and they're all moving out of position in a different way. And this one here is in a stationary configuration. And there's nothing down here on the ground to match the lineup of those images right there, so it's not lens flare. Okay. Now in the next photograph, the lens flare has been reduced a little bit, which I put up dark sheets across there now to prevent that in my photographs. But anyway, there's still a little bit of lens flare up across here. You can kind of see this cloudy area here. That's a little bit of lens flare. Obviously it was well, actually it was in December. Okay, so you got your Christmas lights going on, which really look cool. There's the another antenna in the distance down there. But what I noticed was this triangular configuration here, another triangular configuration here, but this guy is missing, and he's down here by the river. Now let me zoom in on him a little bit here. I don't know what they got going on about the river, but they seem to like it, and they're down there flying around all the time. So the reason for that I'm not quite sure. But here you can see an angular direction of this one here, a more vertical direction of this one here, Christmas lights that we all like. And this guy here that I pointed out earlier is dropped out of formation, and he's running down the river. And he's got that angle that you always see in flying saucers when they go to take off or do their thing. They kind of get at that funny angle for some reason. So, but anyway, that's what's going on with that. Now this here, oh, who turned out the lights? Look down on the bottom right hand side here. See this here? This is one of the more interesting series of photographs that I have, actually, in my opinion. There's about three of them, three photographs in a sequence here. Now, notice on this one here that there's nothing going on here basically. Okay, there's no light down here at the bottom. There's no light here really to speak of. In the next photograph, basically the same thing. So I enhanced it a little bit, but look what's going on now. Now we've got somebody down here in the bottom lighting up. There's a whole string of these things across here. And this one's starting to light up here, okay? And there's nothing going on here, but you'll see something here in the next photograph. Now these photographs here toward the end were all taken in the same, well, these are in November of 2017, and that pyramidal formation that I showed you earlier was taken in December. So this is a month earlier, these photographs here, and these last few photographs were the ones where I just felt there was something outside. I didn't see anything. I just went out and started pointing the camera and clicking. And the images that I got when I put it on the computer, I was just kind of gobsmacked, using somebody else's expression that I heard a while back. But I was a little bit stunned by what it was that I was looking at, because I didn't see anything when I took the photograph, and it's only 57 millimeter on the focal length and 1/30th of a second on the exposure time. Again, you can see down at the bottom, like I said, I couldn't see anything but dark sky when I took the photograph, but there is an image there, and that's it right there. Now notice this one here is not nearly as bright as it was, and I think there's this one here is lighting up as it wasn't lit up before, and this is lighting up right here inside this one here. Let's see if we can take a little closer look at this. Look at that. That's what I was talking about before in some of my other photographs, I really get kind of waffling back and forth as to whether or not these are flying machines of some kind or if there's some kind of life form, because I'm getting this vortex generator that I call it object right here. I've got the baked potato configuration going on here with this outside shell and an inner core in these things here. And here again is what I call that vortex generator. And I think these things are able to magnetically adhere themselves to one another through, some kind of a force field or scalar waves or something where they can gather up into one large piece, and then they can just come apart whenever they want to. Notice this one here is very similar to this one here, and yet they're separated. You know what I'm saying? So they must have the some kind of ability to attach and detach as they're out doing their thing. Now look how long those lights go off to the left there. There's a bunch of them here in this photograph. Like I said, I didn't see them at the time that I took the photograph, but they were there nonetheless. This character here was taken in the same month of November as that last series of images that I just showed you. And this is at 57 millimeters, okay? So not really out there, as far as the focal length, very far. But what I find interesting in this is it looks extremely similar to the photograph I just showed you. You see this star, five-pointed like star configuration here? And this is where the light would have been on that other photograph, and the vortex generator here. Now, this is a natural colors on this photograph when I took it. So when you look at a pyramid from the top, you kind of get a square configuration, and basically, I think that's what I'm seeing here. And then in this image right here, I think what this is, when I first saw it, I thought it was three separate objects, that I took a photograph at one time of. But I think what is actually happening is this is the same one, okay, that's kind of pulsing, and pulsing during the time that the shutter is open, because I'm getting kind of a looking down on top configuration here with a sort of like a cone shape right here in the middle. Same thing here. But here in this particular part of it, it gets a little bit more like you're looking at a pyramid from the side. So you're getting more of a triangular configuration instead of looking down on it from the top and getting a square visual on it. So let me enhance this here a second. And it kind of looks a little monstrous or something, doesn't it? I mean, there's I just really don't know what to think of that. Like I said, I don't know if this is a machine that's flying along, or if this is some kind of life form. But it looks extremely similar to that earlier photograph right there with the star-shaped, five-pointed star-shaped configuration. And there it is again in its natural, state. So I was really intrigued when I put that memory card in the computer and started looking at it, because like I said, when I took those images, I didn't see anything out there. I just felt like there was something there, so I just started clicking, and that's what I ended up with. So if you subscribed or watched the video, appreciate it. Either way, take care. Talk to you later.